Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome to Project Planet. Every month I play a game with my patrons and my YouTube members. And this time around that was Project Planet. In this party game you have 6 different slots for people. 5 are going to be playing as various human roles and 1 plays as Earth. As the Earth player, it's your objective to wipe out the entire population, and how you go about this is up to you. You pick what the threat to humanity is going to be, and in this case I picked a solar flare. Once you pick your disaster, you get to pick, in this case for the solar flare, where you're going to strike. This is going to determine which of the, let's say, 5 human players gets to be hit the hardest. This is also going to cost me some force, and force is the resource that you spend as the disaster in order to wipe out humanity. I decided to pick the Americas. At this point, the other players, or AI players in this case, start getting involved.
Oh no, I'm kind of afraid of the media being an AI.
Well, better get used to it now. At this point, the AI player plays as the media, who gets to decide how this solar flare is going to get covered.
Worrying reports from amateur astronomers. An increase in solar activity points to a possible coronal mass ejection, a burst of energy causing a solar flare that may affect electronics around the world. While we await official reports from the scientists, some believe humanity should preemptively prepare power grids and satellites for the flare's impact.
If the AI player playing as the media decides to go sensationalist, that increases their bar, their influence over the game, if you will. This is where the adversarial part of the game also comes into play, because you can see that the scientists, played by Architect, have a 1.2 modifier. This means that they have the highest score at the moment. If the players playing as humanity work together well enough, then it becomes a game of who gets to win between the humans. In this case, Architect seems to have a decent chance at that, but a lot can change over the course of the game. As the other players are deciding what they want to do, I also have some options. This is going to impact, for example, how well the ecosystem and how well the pollution situation develop. The worse the ecosystems and the pollution get, the more people die off. So you're not just facing the solar flare in this case, you're also having a look at the ecosystem and pollution sliders over on the right hand side, because if they drop to 0, well, you have bigger issues. Right here, Architect has made a decision, and now it's up to the media to see how they want to present that decision. So everybody has an impact on everybody else.
Scientists wasting precious time on budget bureaucracy.
Oh.
As the other players are dealing with that, I can decide how I want to have wildfires play out. I can have them be rainforest wildfires or even near cities. You can see that this is costing me the force resource, and the less I have of that, well, the less impact in the game I will have. Time to give the player something else to think about. I'm going to spark a crisis. This is only something that the Earth player can do, and everybody's going to have to work together in order to fix this. This is where the game sort of introduces a prisoner dilemma. Everybody can pitch in some points in order to fight this crisis. If they don't do enough, well, loss of life will result. It's only a minor crisis, you don't have to spend that much. Like 2 per should be enough. Now, they fought off the crisis, good work, but in this case that came at a cost, because now the players who spent the most have a little bit less influence. Don't worry, we'll be right back after this solar flare. One of the players, LordenIII, plays as the industry, basically the capitalist market, and well, if there's a crisis, there's money to be had. LordenIII making bank. Opportunist.
Yes, indeed.
As you're approaching the end of phase 1, I can decide how much impact this phase actually had on the entire game. So I can nullify it, I can modify it, or I can intensify the intensity of the solar flare. The more that I spend here, or reduce here, the more points I get. So reducing or nullifying is very useful in case the humans did very well and were able to somehow counter the effects of the solar flare. I've decided to take a bit of a middle road and just modify it a bit. Not intensify it that much, I want to save my force for a later stage. In the end of a phase, you also get an overview of who did what and how well they did. So you get per player how much their influence has grown, how much it has decreased. The game also is kind enough to show you who was a team player and who was rather the opposite. Time to move on now to the next phase, where once again I get to decide how badly this is going to impact humanity. We're at the burst stage. Now, a solar flare is basically a burst of electromagnetic radiation, so it's really bad for not only causing damage to the electronics, but also to the ecosystem. And as such, I can cause, for example, storms or even droughts, which will kill off a lot of people. The more expensive this effect is going to be, the more people are going to die. And especially this one for -6 force, that has a massive impact on the population. Not only because the people immediately start dying because of a lack of food, but also because the ecosystems and the pollution are going down. In the previous phase, the players have decided that they want to partially shut down the energy grid to minimize the effects of the solar flare, but then somebody's going to have to decide where the power goes. In this case, industry did that. And now it's the media's turn, so again the AI, to decide how they're going to cover that. Are they going to work with the industry or against them?
Industry accused of hoarding electricity.
Why, of course.
Now, it's not all bad news for the humans. Sometimes good things happen. In this case, not without a cost. Because I want to make sure I still have enough force left to spend on the rest of the phases. So I'm going to actually give a positive mutation, or rather, let's say a plastic-eating bacteria, and actually improve the situation for the pollution. So the pollution's going down. Meaning that the population gets to recover a bit, but I also get to recover some force. For my tastes, as the planet, the population isn't dying fast enough. So let's help speed things along with another crisis. They have 33 points to get between the 5 of them, so basically 6 and change. If they're able to do that, they can save a lot of lives. But if somebody cheaps out, well... Oh ho ho!
Oh. Everybody underspent.
As this for me was a pretty good round, I'm going to amplify the effects of the solar flare. Intensifying it is not necessarily going to be the right answer here, because it was an okay round, but not great. So let's just amplify the effects and improve the effects by a 1.25 multiplier. Pretty good phase for me. Effects so far, about a loss of 3.3 billion people.
We're still okay. We're still okay.
As long as you still believe that. Next phase, blackouts. Nothing bad has ever happened in a blackout, right? No electricity. What if it lasts for hours, days, weeks? Is humanity going to be able to behave?
Welcome back to a live broadcast from the leak. We're back in the studio as humanity successfully bounces back from the solar flare's impact. Energy grids and communication networks around the world are nearly back in working order. Just in time, too, as water and fuel shortages worsen. But don't worry, the future is finally looking bright again as humanity overcomes this disaster.
Cool story, bro.
Yep.
The AI in charge of the media put a nice spin on that, but we're not done yet.
World leaders assume unmatched emergency powers.
I hope they're willing to give those back at the end of the day.
Of course we would. We would never become global dictators.
In Interesting choice here for the oil spill. I can make it a massive oil spill, or on the other side of the spectrum, I can say that all the gas reserves are empty. That would actually be good for the population, but it would also allow me to build up more force. As we're now in the blackout phase, people are starting to feel safe, and people think that they can safely reactivate their power grids. What if a second solar flare were to hit? This could have, well, disastrous effects, wouldn't it? Let's also tack on a good crisis for good measure. 33 points is what they're going to have to beat. Surprise. My thinking here was that we're pretty deep inside the game already. People are going to want to maximize their score, so they will not want to spend as many of their points. Shame if something happened to the population because somebody slacked off. Uh-oh.
Wow.
Boom. Dave?
Dave forgot to spend points.
No, I thought I spent 6. No, I didn't. Sorry. Yep, I only spent 4. So, my bad.
End of the phase coming up. This was a really good phase for
And
me.
there it went again.
I managed to reduce population to 1.5 billion people only. So if I'm able to make the effects worse by adding a 1.5 modifier, that might just do it.
Ooh.
There goes the neighborhood.
Wow.
Now I'm regretting not spending those 2 extra points.
Phase 4. Reparations. Can the humans still manage to claw their way back? Can they fix the ecosystems? Can they fight the pollution? Can they affect some sort of change in order to keep their population just high enough? Not if I have anything to say about it. So these guys have faced earthquakes, they've faced oil spills. How about a bit of weather? This is where it's good for me to start spending all the force that I have left. So let's dry up the farmland and use some droughts. Boom.
Good job.
Last thing that got you was a drought.
Ah.
Drought, no crops, no population. Done.
Yep.
And that is how a solar flare can make humanity go extinct. Now, there's various other disasters that you're going to have to face. You can have an asteroid impact, you can have a breakout of a certain virus, you can have a plague of locusts. I really like Project Planet. It's a nice game, and best of all, only one person really only has to own it, because the others are going to be able to chime in through either their phone or just a browser window. I think it's a fun game. I like it, especially with the variation that you have. As you have more players and they make different decisions and they interact with each other, it can turn into a bit of a fun disaster, if you will. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what your thoughts are down below, and I'll see you soon for more.